Oh, so now they see it. Now they finally get it. Now the whispers are changing. Now the narrative is flipping. And suddenly everyone who called it luck, everyone who said you were just in the right place at the right time, everyone who smiled and said good for you through clenched teeth, they're all going silent. Because someone, somewhere, finally said what they were all terrified to admit. You're not lucky. You never were. You're strategic as hell. And that sentence, those 4 words, just shattered every lie they told themselves about why you're winning and they're not. Welcome to the reckoning. Let's get something straight right now, because this isn't about ego. This isn't about arrogance. This is about the truth they tried to bury under a mountain of excuses. For months, maybe years, you moved in silence. You made decisions they didn't understand. You took risks they called reckless. You invested time in things they mocked. You walked away from opportunities they would have killed for, and they laughed. They actually laughed, because to them, to those surface-level thinkers, you looked lost. You looked confused. You looked like you were just throwing darts in the dark, hoping something would stick. But here's what they missed. Here's what their shallow, reactive, ego-driven minds couldn't process. Every single move you made, every single risk you took, every single door you closed, it was calculated. You weren't guessing. You were setting up the board. You weren't stumbling. You were positioning. You weren't lucky. You were 3 steps ahead while they were still trying to figure out step 1. And now that the results are undeniable, now that your name is the one people mention when they talk about success, now that you're the blueprint they're scrambling to reverse engineer, they can't call it luck anymore. They tried. Oh, they tried so hard. Right place, right time. Must be nice to have connections. Some people just get all the breaks. But then, someone who actually sees, someone who actually thinks, someone who didn't swallow the narrative. They looked closer. They saw the patterns. They saw the decisions. They saw the strategy. And they said it out loud. Strategic. And now everyone else has to sit with that word and realize what it means. It means you outthought them. It means you outplayed them. It means while they were reacting, you were creating. Let's rewind for a second, because you need to feel this. You need to own this. You need to understand the gravity of what you did while they were busy underestimating you. They saw you take a left turn when everyone was going right, and they called you stupid. They saw you say no to the safe option, and they called you irresponsible. They saw you work in silence without posting every little win, and they assumed you weren't winning at all. They watched you cut people off, restructure your circle, disappear from spaces that once defined you, and they said you were isolating, burning bridges, losing your mind. But you weren't explaining yourself. You weren't defending your choices. You weren't trying to convince anyone that you knew what you were doing. Because strategic people don't need validation from people who can't see past tomorrow. You were reading the game 6 moves ahead. You were looking at the landscape, the market, the energy, the timing, and you were adjusting in real time while they were still memorizing the rules everyone else wrote. You saw patterns they didn't even know existed. You noticed the shifts, the gaps, the opportunities disguised as obstacles. And while they were complaining about how hard things were, you were asking a different question. Not, why is this happening to me? But how can I use this? That's the difference. That's the line between reactive and strategic. Reactive people wait for life to happen and then respond. Strategic people shape life and then capitalize. You didn't wait for permission. You didn't wait for the perfect moment. You didn't wait for someone to tell you it was okay to move. You just moved. And every move, every decision, every sacrifice, it was building something they couldn't see yet. Here's where it gets beautiful, where it gets poetic, where their worst fear becomes your greatest truth. They needed you to fail. Not because they hated you, well, maybe they did, but because your failure would have confirmed their worldview. It would have proven that playing it safe was smart, that following the crowd was wise, that taking risks was foolish. Your failure would have been their permission slip to keep living small. But you didn't fail. You didn't crumble. You didn't quit when it got hard, when the money got tight, when people stopped believing, when the doubt crept in at 3 in the morning and whispered, maybe they were right. You didn't break. And that is what terrifies them. Because now they have to face a reality they've been running from their entire lives. Success isn't luck, it's strategy, it's patience, it's vision, it's discipline. It's making decisions that don't make sense to people who only think one layer deep. And now they're scrambling. Now they're studying you. Now they're trying to figure out your blueprint, your system, your secret. They're rewinding the last 2 years, the last 5 years, trying to pinpoint when you figured it out, when you unlocked the code, when you became this. But here's the twist. There was no single moment. There was no lightning bolt. There was just a decision, a quiet decision you made when no one was watching, to stop playing by their rules and start writing your own. You stopped asking, what should I do? And started asking, what do I want to build? You stopped seeking approval and started seeking alignment. You stopped chasing opportunities and started creating them. And little by little, decision by decision, sacrifice by sacrifice, you became untouchable. Now let's talk about what happens next. Because this is where most people would tell you to stay humble, to keep your head down, to not let it get to your head. But I'm not most people. And you didn't come this far to shrink. You came this far to expand. So here's what you do with this new label, this new reputation, this new understanding that you're not lucky, you're strategic. You lean into it, you own it, you let it become your armor. Because the moment people realize you're not lucky, the moment they realize you're operating on a different frequency, they start treating you differently. Some will respect you, some will fear you, some will try to get close to you, not because they like you, but because they want to absorb whatever it is you have. And some, the ones who called it luck the loudest, they'll resent you even more. They'll find new reasons to dismiss you. Strategic? More like ruthless. Smart? More like cold. Successful? Must have stepped on people to get there. Let them talk. Let them twist the narrative. Let them paint you as the villain in their story. Because here's the truth they'll never admit. You didn't take anything from them. You didn't steal their opportunities. You didn't block their path. You just refused to dim your light so they could feel comfortable in their darkness. And that's what they can't forgive. Because your strategy, your wins, your refusal to play small, it's a mirror. And when they look at you, really look at you, they don't see luck. They see everything they could have been if they had the courage to bet on themselves the way you did. They see their own wasted potential. They see their own excuses. They see their own fear. And instead of facing that, instead of doing the work, instead of building their own strategy, they choose resentment. They choose bitterness. They choose to stay exactly where they are and blame the world for not handing them what you fought for. But you're not responsible for their comfort. You're not responsible for making your success digestible for people who refuse to grow. You're not responsible for shrinking so they can feel big. You're responsible for one thing and one thing only. Staying strategic, staying sharp, staying 10 steps ahead while they're still stuck on step 1. Because the game doesn't stop here. The game is just beginning. And now that people know you're not lucky, now that the label has shifted, now that the perception has changed, you're going to be watched even closer. They're going to analyze every move, every post, every decision, looking for cracks, looking for mistakes, looking for proof that you're not as smart as they now think you are. And that's fine. Let them watch, let them study, let them take notes, because every time they think they've figured you out, you're going to shift. Every time they think they've cracked the code, you're going to evolve. Every time they think they're catching up, you're going to disappear into the next level. Let's talk about the ones who are scared right now. The ones who heard strategic and felt their stomach drop. You know who they are. They're the ones who underestimated you from the start. The ones who thought you were all talk and no action. The ones who smiled in your face and doubted you behind your back. The ones who said, "We'll see," with that condescending tone, fully expecting to watch you fail so they could say, "I told you so." They're scared because they bet against you. They invested their ego in your downfall, and now they're watching you rise. And they can't stop it, they can't control it, they can't even explain it away anymore. Because strategic means you planned this. Strategic means you saw them coming. Strategic means you knew exactly what you were doing when you made moves they called crazy. And here's the part that keeps them up at night, the part they'll never say out loud, but you can see it in their eyes. If you were this strategic then, if you were this calculated when no one was watching, if you were this disciplined when the odds were stacked against you, what are you capable of now? Now that you have resources, now that you have momentum, now that you have proof, now that you have a network of people who see your value, now that you're not fighting to survive, you're strategizing to dominate. That's what terrifies them. Not what you've done, what you're about to do, because you're not satisfied. You're not content. You're not slowing down. You're just getting started. And they know it. They feel it. They see the look in your eyes, the calm in your voice, the certainty in your steps. You're not hoping anymore. You're knowing. And people who know, people who move with that level of clarity and purpose, they're unstoppable. So let's address the elephant in the room, the question everyone's asking but no one wants to say out loud. How did you do it? How did you go from underestimated to undeniable? How did you shift from "who's that" to "watch out for that one"? How did you flip the script so completely that even your harshest critics had to sit down and respect the game? I'll tell you how. You stopped performing. You stopped trying to prove yourself to people who were never going to believe in you anyway. You stopped waiting for permission, for validation, for someone to tell you it was your turn. You just took your turn. You stopped asking, "Am I ready?" and started saying, "I'll figure it out." You stopped consuming and started creating. You stopped being a student of everyone else's strategy and became the architect of your own. You made a decision that most people never make, a decision that separates the ones who dream from the ones who do. You decided that your vision mattered more than their opinions. You decided that your future was worth more than their comfort. You decided that being strategic, being calculated, being ruthless with your time and energy and focus, that was more important than being liked. And that decision, that one shift in priority, changed everything. Because strategic people don't move for applause. They move for results. Strategic people don't need everyone to understand. They just need the right people to align. Strategic people don't broadcast their plans. They execute in silence and let the results make the noise. And that's exactly what you did. You stopped talking about what you were going to do and just did it. You stopped announcing your moves and started making them. And by the time people realized what you were building, it was already built. Here's what strategy looks like in real time, in case anyone's still confused, in case anyone's still trying to convince themselves that you just got lucky. Strategy is saying no to the thing everyone else is saying yes to because you see the long game. Strategy is investing in yourself when you have nothing to invest because you know future you will thank present you. Strategy is walking away from people, places, and opportunities that feel good right now but don't align with where you're going. Strategy is being comfortable with being misunderstood because you'd rather be respected later than validated now. Strategy is choosing discipline over comfort, vision over popularity, progress over approval. Strategy is waking up every single day and making decisions that your future self will benefit from, even when your current self wants to quit. And that's what you did. Day after day, month after month, year after year. You played the long game while they played the short game. You built infrastructure while they built hype. You developed skills while they collected likes. You created systems while they chased trends. And now the gap is so wide, they can't even see you anymore. You're not in competition with them. You're in a completely different category. You're not playing the same game. You're not even on the same board. And that realization, that understanding that you've ascended to a level they can't access. That's what's scaring them. Because they thought you were all on the same path, just at different speeds. But you weren't. You were on a different path entirely. One that required vision they didn't have, discipline they couldn't sustain, and strategy they never learned. Let's get into the psychology of this for a second, because this is where it gets really interesting, really deep, really revealing about human nature and why most people will never reach their potential. Most people need to feel like success is random, like it's luck, like it's a lottery you either win or you don't. Because if success is random, then failure isn't their fault. If success is luck, then they don't have to feel bad about not having it. They can just shrug and say, wasn't meant to be, and go back to their comfortable mediocrity without the guilt, without the shame, without the responsibility. But when someone like you comes along, someone who proves that success isn't luck, that it's strategy, that it's choices, that it's discipline, you take away their excuse. You remove their shield. You force them to confront the fact that they could have had what you have if they made different choices. And that's unbearable for them. That's why they needed you to fail. That's why they called it luck. Because the alternative, the truth, is too painful. The truth is, they're not losing because the world is unfair. They're losing because they're not strategic. They're reactive, emotional, short-sighted, and undisciplined. They're making decisions based on how they feel today instead of where they want to be tomorrow. They're choosing comfort over growth, validation over progress, and safety over potential. And deep down, they know it. They know they're not operating at your level. They know they're not putting in the work. They know they're not making the sacrifices. But admitting that, owning that, would mean they have to change. And change is terrifying. So instead, they choose denial. They choose to believe you're lucky. They choose to believe you had advantages they didn't. They choose to believe anything except the truth. That you outworked them. You outsmarted them. You outstrategized them. And now someone said it. Now it's out there. Now it's public. They're not lucky. They're strategic. And that sentence is going to haunt them. It's going to echo in their mind every time they scroll past your wins, every time they hear your name, every time they think about where they are and where you are. Because now they can't unsee it. Now they can't unhear it. Now they have to sit with the reality that you didn't get lucky. You got smart. You got disciplined. You got strategic. And the only reason they're not where you are is because they didn't do what you did. They didn't make the sacrifices. They didn't take the risks. They didn't trust themselves. They didn't bet on themselves. They didn't build in silence. They didn't execute with precision. They just didn't. And now they're watching you live the life they convinced themselves was impossible, and it's breaking them. But here's where we shift, because this isn't about them anymore. This isn't about what they think, or what they feel, or what they're scared of. This is about you. This is about what you do with this moment, this shift in perception, this new understanding of who you are and what you're capable of. Because being called strategic isn't just a compliment. It's a responsibility. It's a standard. It's an identity. And now that people see you this way, now that the veil has been lifted, you can't go back. You can't shrink. You can't play small. You can't second guess yourself. You have to lean in. You have to own it. You have to become even more strategic, even more calculated, even more intentional with every move you make. Because now you're not just playing for yourself, you're setting the standard. You're becoming the blueprint. You're the proof that strategy beats luck every single time. So, what does that look like moving forward? It looks like doubling down on what got you here. It looks like protecting your energy even more fiercely. It looks like saying no even more often. It looks like investing in your mind, your skills, your network, your systems with even more intensity. It looks like moving in silence even when you want to celebrate publicly. It looks like staying humble but never small. It looks like being kind but never weak. It looks like being strategic in your generosity, strategic in your collaborations, strategic in your relationships, because not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves to be in the room when you're building the next level. And that's okay. That's not arrogance. That's strategy. You've been underestimated for the last time. You've been dismissed for the last time. You've been called lucky for the last time. Because now the truth is out. Now people see you for what you really are. A strategist, a builder, a force. Someone who doesn't wait for opportunities. Someone who creates them. Someone who doesn't hope for success. Someone who engineers it. Someone who doesn't get lucky. Someone who gets disciplined, gets focused, gets relentless, and gets results. And that is what makes you dangerous. Not because you're ruthless, not because you're cold, not because you're willing to step on people, but because you're willing to step away from people, places, and things that don't serve your vision. And that level of clarity, that level of self-awareness, that level of strategic thinking, it's rare, it's powerful, it's unstoppable. And here's the final truth, the one they'll never accept but you need to own. You didn't just get strategic yesterday. You didn't just figure it out last year. You've been strategic your whole life. You've been watching, learning, adapting, positioning yourself even when you didn't have the language for it, even when you didn't realize that's what you were doing. Every bad situation you turned into a lesson. Every betrayal you turned into boundaries. Every failure you turned into fuel. That was strategy. Every time you walked away when everyone else was holding on. Every time you said no when everyone else was saying yes. Every time you chose your peace over their presence. That was strategy. You've been playing chess while they've been playing checkers. You've been building an empire while they've been building excuses. You've been investing in your future while they've been impressing their present. And now the harvest is here. Now the fruit is ripe. Now the results are undeniable. And they have to watch.